set up the HMD correctly. Give me a second here. Come on now, work with me. What am I pressing wrong? What is happening right now? Come on. Don't do this. Come on. A10, work with me.
Yeah, don't be that guy. I mean, I hate to clown on Growling Sidewinder. I'm actually quite a huge fan of his videos, but the way Mr. Sidewinder flies, some of his A10 videos really kind of make me do that like eye twitch thing from Bob's Burgers, if you know what I'm talking about. But today we're going to be covering the HOTAS in the A10, and this is probably the last of the boring videos, but then we can get into fun stuff, and by fun I mean blowing stuff. I mean, aren't you having fun? I'm having fun. I like fucking airplanes and shit, so this is fun to me at least. And one guy's gonna get in the comments and yell at me for disparaging myself again. That's okay, I need to hear it. So today, we're drinking 1792 Bottled in Bond. Now, plenty of bourbons have a Bottled in Bond edition of themselves, and to be honest with you, I don't quite know what it does for the flavor profile. I mean, I know what Bottled in Bond is. If you don't want a bourbon lesson, skip the next 45 seconds of the video, but back in the day when Prohibition was a thing, or shortly after it was lifted, rather, there was so much bootleg alcohol out there that people were poisoning the alcohol to sabotage each other. And so you could have your alcohol bottled in bond in these federal facilities that would guarantee they were protected and you would know they're not poisoned. And so I don't know what a bottled in bond bourbon is supposed to taste like. I'm sure an AI could tell me if I just asked it, but maybe someone get in the comments and tell me. But anyway, tastes delicious, and the bottled in bond versions of any bourbon are usually a little higher shelf tasting, so it's quite good. And I do like 1792. I've got like 3 other kinds of 1792 I haven't even drank yet for my videos. Yeah, they're good. Anyway, I've got the A10 on active pause, so, you know, I can click things, but at the same time, the jet's kind of frozen in space. We've got, well, Mavericks for sure, and we've got, you know, some bombs, 2 Mavericks, 7 APKWS, 2 Sidewinders, T-Pod, Jamming Pod. There's no threats, says Wag Daddy for this video. So this is the, free flight video. Listen to me. Free flight, instant action missions. I'm too lazy to build my own. Really don't need it for HOTAS. So let's talk about some stuff. Okay, so the HOTAS. It's actually really easy. Here, I'll show you this chart, and you can see how easy it is. Come on, it's not so bad, right? It's simple. It's really simple. What if I told you? What if I told you, Neo, you take the red pill and no. What if I told you I can actually make it really easy? To me, the A10 HOTAS is laid out very logically and simply. Maybe that's just because, like, you know, it's the first thing I learned and the first thing I know, but to me, it feels like in the Viper or the Hornet, everything was, like, shoehorned in, you know? Like, take the CMS, for example. The HN CMS is fine. To me, it's like, forward's 1 flare, aft is 1 chaff, left is 6 flares, and right is 6 chaff. Okay, great. It makes simple. The Viper's, like, left short to, like, turn off the jammer or turn it on or something, or aft just turns off the jammer. I don't fucking know, man. It seems like the Viper was made before jamming was really that much of a thing, and so then when jamming came out, like, oh fuck, well, what do we make the jammer assigned to? And then, I don't know, bro, well, let's make it left on the CMS. And they kind of just like willy-nilly jammed it in there. But the A10 had its upgrade to C model in 2005 when all these things existed, and so I think the HOTAS in the A10 makes the most sense of any aircraft out there, and I'm going to teach it to you. So this video isn't going to be reading out of a flight manual. This is going to be a down-to-earth, no bullshit, here's how you fucking understand the HOTAS. I'm not going to go over every single command, well, I might go over a lot of them, every single command and be like, this is what this button does, this is what that button does. I'm going to try and help you grasp the philosophy behind it. That way you don't just think about, what button do I need to press? You think about, this is the situation I'm in, and it comes out fluidity. I want you to train to autonomy, not to simply just rote memorization. Okay, step 1 to fire a Maverick, make this soy. Step 2, press this button. Step 3, TMS forward. Step 4, no. You're just going to be like, this is the situation I'm in, and your fingers are going to do things that you're not thinking about, and the missile's going to fly off the rail before you even know what happened. All right. So, we've all heard the word soy and SPI before, but what do they mean? Well, I'm going to date myself a little bit here, but if you're my age, did you, growing up, have parents, or maybe you if you're old enough, an entertainment center where you had a TV and a DVD player and a surround sound system and, all of those things, and your parents went to fucking Kmart or Jamesway, or I'm really dating myself here, and they buy a universal TV remote, and the TV remote has a volume up, a volume down, a channel up, a channel down, all the number buttons, and an enter, and a back button, and an up, down, left, right, and a select button. And then at the top, though, it had TV, DVD, surround sound, and the way it worked was you would press the TV button, and then all of the buttons on the remote are corresponding to the TV. Then you press the DVD button, and now all the buttons of the remote are corresponding to the DVD system. And that's why you would get really confused about why you're pushing the volume button up and down, and the TV volume is going up and down, but your surround sound system is not going up and down, and you want the surround sound volume up and the TV volume down, and blah, 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 blah. So anyway,
I'm confused.
I hate this.
that's kind of how the A10 HOTAS works. Basically, it's a universal remote, and they've got a little bit of EMI, or EMI in my throttle, so that's why it's jittery like that. So excuse the jittery throttle, but basically all the buttons on your stick and your throttle control everything except for this button right here, the coolie button. This one is going to be like the buttons on your universal TV remote that select TV or DVD or whatever. So what can be made a sensor of interest? Well, right now the HUD is the sensor of interest. How do I know that? There's a little star right there on the HUD that indicates the HUD is soy. If we had the right MFD be soy, we would hit coolie hat right long, and now there's a box around that one, and the star is gone from the HUD. Conversely, if we wanted the Maverick to be soy on the left one, we would left long, and now the left screen is soy, sensor of interest. And now all of the buttons on my HOTAS are going to correspond to this screen. So that's how I want you to start thinking about your HOTAS. It's you're picking a thing that you want all the attention to go to. You want the volume up and down button and the channel change button and the number buttons and the up, down, left, right, select buttons to go to whatever you have soy. So the HUD is your TV, the left is your PlayStation, the right is your Xbox, and then the HEMIX can be soy too, noted by the little star. Where's my mouse? The star right there in the HEMIX. That can be your, your surround sound. But basically all of the commands are going to go to whatever you have be soy. So Chuck's guide did a pretty good job by comparing it to a video game controller, I think like an N64 controller or something like that. But I think my analogy of a universal TV remote is just a little bit more nuanced to make it make sense. You have to understand, the A-10 started out as an attack fighter bomber. It was supposed to be something that could loiter for a long time, get in there with guns and unguided bombs and Mavericks as precision weapons, and really, really, really be a down-in-the-weeds, all-out brawl fighter. And it is, but as it upgraded, similar to how the Viper got more and more and more and more rolls added onto it. Fun fact, the original Viper had 2 Sidewinders and a gun, and that was all it was equipped with. It was just a literal, pure dogfighter, and that's all. But the A-10's gone from that attack platform to a very, very, very modern, precision, GPS-guided, laser-guided, down to a millimeter death machine, and the upgrade definitely reflects that. But the Air Force, as you remember from Episode 0, never wanted to spend money on the A-10, so that's why the stick on the A-10 is off of an F-16, and the right throttle off of the A-10 is off of a Mudhen, an F-15 Echo. So if you've flown either of those 2 aircraft, they're going to look kind of similar. But the key difference from the Viper is the right button. My thumb's on it, but you can't see my thumb. But the right button is a data management switch, not a display management switch. So when a Viper guy says dismiss and an A-10 guy says dismiss, they're talking about 2 different things. Okay, so pop quiz. What's on the left hydraulic system? No, I'm just kidding. But pop quiz. What's the SOI right now? What's the SPI right now? Golden rule of the A10. Know what your SOI is and where your SPI is at all times. Now, if you've watched my CDU tutorial video, you probably know a lot about SPIs already. But basically, a SPI is a sensor point of interest. In other words, a target. And the SPI always defaults to your steer point unless you make something else SPI. We'll get to that later. But I just want you to be thinking about it right now. Always know what your SOI is. Always know what your SPI is all the time. If at any point in time you're flying an A10 and I stop time and I say, what's your SOI and what's your SPI, you should be able to rattle that off to me without even thinking about it. It's critical to keeping your situational awareness up. I mean, not only is it important for situational awareness so you don't, like, you know, drop a bomb on a friendly or something like that, it's also important because if your HUD is SOI and you think that your TPOD is SOI and you start making inputs that you didn't mean to make, suddenly things are going to happen that you didn't expect. And I'll give you an example. So say you have your guns, you're in guns mode, right? And you think your SOI, or I'm sorry, your TPOD is SOI and you start hitting right on the DMS. Well, look, you just went and put your gun into fixed mode and maybe you don't think about it and, you know, whatever, you're just moving along and you go to do a gun run and you pick your guns and you're like, what the fuck, why does my gun not work anymore? Well, it's because you put the targeting reticle of the gun into a fixed mode instead of a continuously calculated impact point reticle. So, just to give you an idea of what can go wrong if you're not keeping track of what is SOI and what is SPI. Just how bad could you fuck yourself? Well, that's a great example, but hey, let's take a look at the laser real fast. If you think, let's say you think the Maverick is SOI right now, but your T-Pod's SOI, and you start going left and right with the dismiss, and you go from laser to pointer, IR pointer, and you go to laze something, and you laze, and now it's doing an IR pointer instead of a laser that a bomb can actually track off of, and now your bomb's not going to drop, and or it's not going to guide, rather, and you're going to be like, what the hell, why isn't my bomb tracking, and you're going to have no idea. So you can really, really, really dig yourself into a hole if you don't get these things down. Okay, so your primary two, what should I even call them? Your primary two switches that really do most of the legwork in the HOTAS is your TMS, which is this one, and your DMS, which is this one. So that's your target management switch and your data management switch. Now, how can you tell the two apart? Well, the stupid little mnemonic I have is the targeting management switch is a little bump, like a target, and the data management switch looks like a little castle because you're sitting inside your castle and you're doing stuff inside the aircraft with the castle switch. Primarily speaking, the TMS is going to be like manipulating a SPI or a target outside the aircraft, and the DMS is going to be manipulating weapons profiles and different kinds of lasers and zooming things in and out and stabilizing your Maverick when you go to fire a Maverick, stuff like that. So think of the right button as the inside button, your castle, your DMS, because you're inside your castle, and the left button as your target management switch, because you're fucking with targets and you're pointing at things outside the aircraft that you want to hit. I know, it's stupid, it's silly, it's lame, but it helps you fucking remember, trust me. Okay, so one last thing to cover with HOTAS before we start really getting down in the weeds is the master mode. So you continuously click your master mode to cycle through all the buttons, or through all the modes rather. So you've got nav gun, CCIP, CCRP, and then if you hold it, you go to air mode. Then click it once to get back out of it. So nav's self-explanatory. But why are these different modes something I'm bringing up right now? The way I want you to think of it is when the HUD is your SOI, and you go left and right on the DMS, you start clicking that left and right, you start flipping through your weapons profiles. Okay, cool. And you'll notice it's switching from CCIP to CCRP. Well, some weapons have different methods of delivery. Like, I don't have a GBU-12, but you could have a CCIP weapon profile for it and a CCRP weapon profile for it. And the default one actually has both. So you could actually select, I think the rocket will actually do it. You can have the rocket selected and be in CCRP mode or CCIP mode with the rocket. So the weapon profiles, think of them like cards, and the master modes like different decks of cards. Like maybe if the APKWS is the ace of spades, then the back of that card is a pretty beach. Or If it's CCRP mode for that Ace of Spades, now it's a picture of a mountain. Look, it's a different deck of cards, but it's the same cards. It's the same weapon you're releasing, just a different profile for doing it. So, different decks of cards, different cards. Well, that's my guns profile. Different cards in the deck. Make sense? No? Go back and watch it again. Oh, man. What's wild is, like, all this makes sense in my head. And I wrote this little outline for myself and everything, but now that I'm talking about it, I'm like, God, this really is complicated. Jesus, man. Alright, so there's a couple of shortcuts and things that are universal no matter what is SOI. They're all going to do the same thing no matter what. Those shortcuts are, if your HUD is SOI and your Maverick is the weapons profile selected, you can go China hat forward like that, and it'll put the Maverick on the left MFD and make it SOI. That's called Maverick Quick Draw. So I talked in episode 0 about the Maverick being the primary weapon of the A10. The A10 really kind of was designed to be the primary user of the Maverick, and the avionics reflect that. The Maverick is an incredibly useful weapon on the A10, both in its standoff capability and in its versatility, is what I'll call it. Another shortcut you'll want to know is the nose wheel steering button turns the laser on and off no matter what is SOI. So that's an important shortcut to know. Pressing coolie hat down long. Whoa, lost track there for a second. Will display, it's called DMS Quick Look, where it'll show you what's on your loaded on the aircraft, the DMS on the left page, and the weapon profile on the right page. So that's really handy to know. But the two shortcuts I like the most are DMS left long, which turns your HEMIX on and off. So if you're like trying to line up a shot here with a gun and like you've got shit in the way and it's bothering you, like, man, you're like, get the shit out of my face. You could just turn it off real fast and declutter what you're looking at for a split second. The other one, and this is probably my most used shortcut of all time, no matter what is SOI, if you've got the Maverick page or the T-Pod page displayed, and you DMS right long, wherever you're looking, your weapons, well, it's just the T-Pod, your weapons will look. Your T-Pod will look wherever you are pointing with your head. That is the most incredibly fucking useful thing, and it's probably the shortcut I use the most in the A10. If you've watched any of my Agile Spear videos, you've probably seen me use it all the goddamn time. It's like, wait, what the fuck was that? You can just really quick look at you over there, look at your face that direction, and, well, I'm masking it right now with the body of the aircraft, but you can put your T-Pod there, and then if your T-Pod's in iron arm mode, it's going to remember, so I could swing my aircraft around and the T-Pod will still be looking that direction. Incredibly useful. One other thing that's useful, I actually have to start flying, for the Maverick is, you ever start slewing around with the Maverick and it just like, it's drifting way too much and you're like, what the fuck, man, and you're trying to lock something? Well, what you can do is hit DMS up long, and it space stabilizes the Maverick. So it kind of works kind of like the T-Pod. The left and right doesn't drift so much. If I let go of it, see it's kind of wobbling all over the place. But if I DMS up long, it stabilizes it left and right. So that's another shortcut. Well, it's not really a shortcut, but it's a special A10C thing that makes targeting with the Maverick a lot easier. China hat aft, short, centers the Maverick, which is annoying because in the T-Pod, China hat aft puts it in laser spot, and it used to bore sight it, and I really don't like that. You actually have to hit the HOTAS or the MFD button for bore sight now, but meh, whatever. Can't win them all. Okay, so real quick and dirty, let's just go over some basic functions while different things are SOI. So, while the HUD is SOI, if you're in nav mode, going left and right on the DMS is going to start selecting weapon profiles and put you into either a different deck of cards, CCIP, CCRP, or whatever, what have you. If you're in gun mode, left and right will cycle through the different reticles for your gun. There's 4 of them. There's this dual reticle, which shows where both types of ammunition will land, a simplified reticle, that's just a cross, then the fixed dual mode, and then the fixed cross. So I like the good old-fashioned dual mode. Up and down on the DMS, while the HUD is SOI, cycles your steer points. But I personally like to use the steer point button on the UFC, just because I'm afraid of hitting things on my HOTAS that are not It's like keeping your finger off the trigger on a gun. It's like, yeah, you know the gun's not loaded, but why are you going to pull the trigger anyway? Like, don't make inputs onto the HOTAS if you don't have to. I just like using the steer point rocker for switching my steer point. Alright, so Maverick. When the Maverick is SOI, China hat aft, well, it does two things. If the Maverick is not currently bore sighted, aft will bore sight it, and then if you aft it again, it missile steps, which is to say it cycles to a different Maverick. If you have multiple Mavericks, it'll cycle between the different types. Like I've got a D model, I think. Yeah, D model and H model. So the D model's IR, and the H model is charge coupled device. So we're switching between those two different kinds of Mavericks with that. The boat switch will, well, it's CCIP mode, or not CCIP mode, it's CCD mode. We'll try and look for hot contrast or light contrast. And if you have one of the big boy Mavericks with the 300 pound warhead in it, putting the boat switch into aft or forward and then back to aft again will put the Maverick into force correlate mode, where you can target specific parts of large targets, like a part of a warship, for example. If you want to hit it in the bow instead of the stern, or you want to shoot the bridge of an aircraft carrier, that's how you would do that. Well, the T-Pod is SOI. If you go forward on the DMS, you zoom in. Aft on the DMS, you zoom out. Forward on the China hat, short, goes to narrow FOV, and then short, forward short again is wide FOV. And that box you see on the screen is going to show you what you see in the narrow FOV. And then while you're in narrow, you can still zoom in even more. So the T-Pod can get pretty narrow. Right on the DMS cycles between laser pointer, IR pointer, or both, which the IR pointer is used to point things out without actually firing a laser when you have night vision goggles on, or to ground troops. And when the T-Pod SOI, left on the DMS puts the T-Pod, whatever it's seeing, into your HEMIX, which I don't especially like, because it's just not, I just can't focus on it. I just find myself looking at the screen no matter what, so I keep that turned off primarily. But while the T-Pod is SOI, TMS up now cycles between area and point. Area looks at the whole picture and tries to stabilize based on that. Point tries to find contrast on something like that tree, and then aft on the DMS puts it in inertial mode, which is my favorite mode. If you've seen me fly before, you know how much I love inertial mode. Right creates a mark point. As you can see, I just made a mark point. And then right long makes the most recent mark point your speed, which is a little handy too for employing weapons. And then left short broadcasts your speed. As you can see, I can turn speed broadcast on and off with left long. Where the fuck am I anyway? I don't even know where the hell I am. I'm in Georgia somewhere. I actually don't know where I am in Georgia. Let's see, moving on. When your HEMIX is SOI, DMS up and down change the brightness, and then right changes your profile, so you can have different decluttered profiles. You change those profiles in the status page, HEMIX, and then you can change what's on for what program. I have my program that I like, and I keep it. I don't ever, if it's too cluttered and bothering me, I just left long to turn it off. That's just how I roll, but you can set up different profiles if you really want to. And then if you slave around, you can, well, tell you what, let me show you something cool. What you can do with the TMS. First of all, you can make a speed with forward long. I'll show you something else cool. There, so while you have the HEMIX as SOI, whatever you're looking at, if it's a SPI or a friendly aircraft, if you TMS up short, you can hook it, and then the HEMIX will point at whatever you have hooked in yellow. Whenever I'm flying with another human being, I like to hook my wingman, and that way my HEMIX is always pointing a yellow line at my wingman. To unhook, you simply TMS aft short. TMS aft long will always bring your SPI back to your steer point. So that's pretty much it for HOTAS commands. That really, I could sit here and explain it to you till the cows come home, but what it's going to come down to is you're going to have to simply play with it and get used to it, and just try and keep track of what you're doing until you don't have to think about it anymore. Like, let's do like a basic weapons employment thing. So say we're in nav mode, and we got the Dismiss up, and the T-Pod is bore sighted, and let's pretend that we see a tank we want to engage. So let's pretend that we think we see a tank over there. There's a fucking tank over there. So I went DMS right long, because it doesn't matter what I have selected as SOI. I know I can point my T-Pod with DMS right long. And now, with the T-Pod as SOI, Coolie has right long to make it SOI. It already is, but in case it wasn't, let's zoom in. Let's pretend that's a tank. So we're in inertial mode right now. That's fine, so I'm going to TMS up long to make whatever my T-Pod is looking at as the speed. So there we go. Now we want to shoot a Maverick at it, so I'm going to come Coolie hat up short to make the HUD SOI. Find Maverick. There's Maverick. China hat forward short. Make my Maverick make my Maverick SOI. I sound like a fucking autist when I like talk this stuff out loud, because I can like do it with my hands like lightning quick, but when I have to actually say the words out loud, it really is like speaking another language. All right, now I'm going to China hat forward long, which slaves all of my sensors to SPI. So the Maverick's going to look that direction. It's saying it can't look that far, so I got to turn towards it. There it is. It sees it. TMS up short. It sees it. It's got a lock. Weapons release. Rifle. There's the Maverick. Now I don't have any more Maverick of that type. HUD. Make the HUD SOI. Select Maverick again, and now I can make the other Maverick my SOI, which is funny because I typically don't carry two different kinds of Mavericks on my aircraft, so that was interesting to see that. So that's pretty much it. Or, for example, let's say we wanted to drop a JDAM. Let's just do something different. Alright, so we will bore sight the T-Pod just to make things normal again. We'll come to nav mode. Alright, the HUD is now my SOI. So let's say there's a building we want to drop a JDAM on over there. Let's say it's over that way. Alright, so we're going to make the T-Pod SOI. Let's say we want to drop a JDAM on that building. So we're going to TMS up long to make the T-Pod speed. Now, when the T-Pod is speed, whatever I look at is the speed. So that's being constantly handed off to the JDAM. So HUD SOI, DMS right, GBU 38, it selects all of the weapons. I got another bone to pick with Growling Sidewinder about that one. And now we will simply, let's refine that a little bit. Let's point it at the ground right there. You'll see we have a dynamic window over here and 37 seconds till we can drop. Let's turn towards it. At this point, it doesn't really matter what is SOI. The weapons release is going to be the weapons release. That line in the HUD is called the P-bill. We're in range. Pickle. Bombs away. Now's a good time to drink some more bourbon. Oh wait, that's an orphanage. Oh shit. Too late. Anyway, you get the idea. So, just to show you how the A10, how the HOTAS works, it all makes a lot of logical sense to me. The important thing to note is, what is your SOI right now? What is your speed right now? And then when that thing is SOI, what do all the buttons on your HOTAS do? If you have the TMS and the DMS and the China hat's not even that complicated. Lockdown, that's 90% of it, because the pinky switch is just your lights at all times. This button right here is just your autopilot at all times. You've got the slew and the coolie hat. Coolie hat's the coolie hat at all times. The thumb switch up here, this one, is your radio switch at all times. Speed brake is your speed brake at all times. Boat switch only changes polarity for the T-Pod and the Maverick. The China hat is a little wonky, but it's just like some bonus functions, really, that they couldn't get onto the TMS and the DMS. And the TMS and the DMS are the really complicated ones.
Warning,
your trim is your trim. Your master mode's your master mode. And the CMS, I'll save that one for the countermeasures video. But anyway, after this, we are going to... I lied to you. I said that this is the last boring video. No, we're going to do emergency procedures in the next video. Where, oh, look at that poor orphanage burning. Damn. The next video, we're going to go over emergency procedures, like, you know, I keep harping on you about what's on what hydraulic system. Well, we're going to see how the A10 flies, missing hydraulic systems, and emergency braking, and engine failures, and relights, and core locks, and flight control damage, and manual reversion, and fires, in-flight fires, and all sorts of things. So that'll be good fun. But anyway, thanks for watching my video. I don't give a fuck if you like or subscribe. I'm sorry if that was confusing. I really try my best to make this as unconfusing as possible because, I don't know, it's it's like when someone understands a language and, like, you know, oh yeah, it's my first language, and it's super easy, and everyone says the English language is so hard, and it probably is hard, but to me the English language is easy because I understand it. That's kind of how I feel about the A10 HOTAS. Oh yeah, the A10 HOTAS is easy, it's super simple, I know it so well. Well, someone coming from a Viper or a Hornet, it's probably fucking like reading hieroglyphics. So, like I said, don't give a fuck if you like or subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you next time. This is the part where I realized I wasn't recording the whole time. Watch.